Hey everybody, what's going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you all. So, I'm coming at you with my very first Kashtira deck that I've built here in Master Duel. And it may not be a surprise to some of you that my first Kashtira deck is actually an Auroradon deck in disguise. So, Kashtiras with their current iteration are really just a means of pumping out rank 7 monsters, right? The deck doesn't have a lot of core cards to its identity of banishing cards and blocking zones. We do have the means of doing that with Shangri-Ira, of course, as well as the number 89 Diablosis, and we will actually see a gameplay where we do that as well. It's not all just going to be Auroradon lines, but it is going to be mostly Auroradon lines. This is the main focus of this iteration of Kashtira. So again, you know, the deck mainly is pumping out rank 7s, and you could play a more control-based game, but again, I wanted to just see what kind of combo shenanigans I can get up to. So there's a couple of different combo lines you can actually do with this particular deck, both stemming off of the Auroradon, of course, and it really depends on whether or not you open an extra monster in addition to your 2 level 7 monsters. Basically, if you have an extra extender, you can end on a board that ends you in Appaloosa, as well as Thunder Dragon Colossus and Baronne de Fleur, or not Baronne de Fleur, that one has Borreload Savage Dragon. Whereas if you open just the ability to summon 2 level 7s, but no extenders beyond that, we do actually still have a combo line, and that one will result in the Borreload Savage Dragon, the Thunder Dragon Colossus, and then that one also has the Baronne de Fleur as well. Now, I know a lot of you are probably groaning right now, like, oh my god, Auroradon combos, really? And honestly, you know, again, if you're not a fan of it, that's fine, I understand, but I loved HALQIFIBRAX. I'm not gonna lie, it was one of my favorite decks I've played on Master Duel, and I've been looking for an excuse to summon Auroradon again, and mostly an excuse to summon out Tomahawk, because that, in my opinion, is one of the easiest ways to do Auroradon combo lines. And again, the Kashtiras are all about rank 7s, so we have the ability to summon it out pretty easily. One thing I do want to note about the Kashtira Riseheart, you might be thinking, well, Hex, how can you do Halcdon lines with Riseheart, because this locks you into Xyzes? This only locks you into Xyz summons if you special summon Riseheart from your hand, if you use that effect. If you normal summon Riseheart, you can still activate the effect that makes it level 7, and then use it as a material for Tomahawk and summon things other than Xyz monsters. Do note, though, that if you do that, you will not be able to use Rite of Aramesir, because, of course, you have normal summoned Riseheart and activated its effect. And yes, we are actually playing the Adventure line, mostly for the level 7 bodies. That's mainly the thing that we want the Adventure line for, but sometimes you have the ability to have the insurance of the Gryphon Rider before doing your combo line, and that's pretty nice when it works out that way. We have a few other level 7 extender options, the Ascendant of Thunder, as well as the Instant Contact. Oh, and then for the, we have a few quote-unquote garnets that are a part of our, you know, Halq combo line, or not Halq, Jesus, the Auroradon combo line, rather. That's going to be mainly the Mecha Phantom Beast monsters. We have 2. We have O-Lion, and we have what is this one? It's Warbluran. This one mainly is just to be a level 1 tuner. We all remember O-Lion, of course, from regular Halcdon plays, but I keep forgetting it already. Warbluran is really just here to be a level 1 tuner, and which one you go for is actually going to be dependent on which combo line you're doing. If you're doing the line where you have an extra extender, then we go for the Warbluran, but if you're doing a line where you do not have the extender, just 2 level 7s, then we go for O-Lion. We'll go ahead and show off these combo lines in individual games here, so that way you can kind of get a visual representation for it as well. We also have Instant Contact as a level 7 extender with the Aqua Neos in the extra deck there. 3 of this one, 2 of the Ascended, 3 of this as opposed to the Ascended because this only costs 1,000 life points, and this costs 3,000, so that's pretty much the main reason there. As far as the extra deck goes, I am very tight on space, of course, with it. I kind of am thinking about taking out the Swordosul Supreme Sovereign Chengying. This is mainly just here as a backup option. I did originally have Accel Synchron Stardust to kind of complement this, but ended up cutting the Accel Synchron, and the Chengying just kind of end up being left over as a result. I probably should have a Nightmare Unicorn in here in case I need to summon IP Masquerena, and I don't have the ability to like keep extending after that, just to have an option to go into IP other than Appaloosa. Although, to be fair, we're going to use IP to make Appaloosa as part of one of our main combo lines, like pretty much every time anyway. But Chengying is honestly the only thing in this extra deck that I would say is not necessary. The next most cuttable thing would be Aqua and getting rid of instant contacts, but then of course we need to find another generic level 7 extender to replace that. So, yeah, that pretty much covers that. Oh, Zeus. That was the other main card I wanted to add to the extra deck there, besides just the Nightmare Unicorn in place of Chengying was also potentially Zeus as well. So the main deck could also definitely see a couple of cards cut, right? Like, I'm playing Ogre and Preparations just to get as many of the Kashtira cards as I can in there, just to kind of get an idea of how I feel for them. But they're really not needed at all. We could definitely cut those if you wanted more space in the main deck as well. Rhoda is, like, debatably cuttable, but I really like it to search the Risehearts. Riseheart is really good because you don't even have to control a Kashtira monster to make this level 7. You just have to banish a Kashtira card from deck, so even if you don't open, like, let's say you open something like Illegal Knight and Rhoda, that's actually still in a play into Tomahawk and then Auroradon, because you can special Illegal Knight by its own effect, Rhoda for the Riseheart, normal summon Riseheart, and then change Riseheart to level 7. So I like the Rhoda, but it's relatively cuttable if you wanted to put something else in its place. Oh, and then of course, we have the Corridor for the Colossus as well here. So I'm going to break down every card in this deck real quick just to make sure that we're all on the same page and that, you know, there's no questions about what's being run, and then I'll go ahead and start showing off some of these games here. So, for the main deck, we're playing 1 Mecha Phantom Beast Warbluran, 1 Jet Synchron, this is to be used with the Accel Synchron, 3 Maxx, 1 Mecha Phantom Beast Lion, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 Water Enchantress of the Temple, 1 Nemeses Corridor, 3 Kashtira Riseheart, 2 the Ascendant of Thunder, 1 Wandering Gryphon Rider, 1 Illegal Knight, 2 Kashtira Fenrir, 3 Kashtira Unicorn, 1 Kashtira Ogre, 1 Reinforcement of the Army, 2 Rite of Aramesir, 3 Instant Contact, 1 Dracoback the Rideable Dragon, 1 Fateful Adventure, 2 Kashtira Birth, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator, 2 Infinite Impermanence, and then 1 Kashtira Preparations. It's going to do it for the main deck. Now for the extra deck, we're on 1 Elemental Hero Aqua, 1 Thunder Dragon Colossus, 1 Cupid Pitch, 1 Accel Synchron, 1 Borreload Savage Dragon, 1 Baronne de Fleur, 1 Swordosul Supreme Sovereign Chengying, 1 number 42 Galaxy Tomahawk, 1 number 89 Diablosis the Mind Hacker, 1 Kashtira Shangri-Ira, 1 Link Spider, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Barricade Borg Blocker, 1 Mecha Knight Phantom Beast Auroradon, and then 1 Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess. So there is our deck. Now let's go ahead and look at some gameplay. Alright, so this first game is going to be against Stun. The deck actually also has a very small Albaz package. It's like exactly 3 Bestial Monsters and Albaz, and then a bunch of Albaz fusions in the extra. I guess they're playing that as like a going second option, but here we're going to be taking the first turn, and I'm going to show you one of the main combo lines here that you can do when you have the ability to summon the Tomahawk, and then you have an additional extender on top of that. So here, I'm going to start by specialing the Fenrir and grabbing Riseheart. Fenrir plus Riseheart should be my rank 7, and then Ascendant of Thunder is going to be my additional extender beyond that. So gonna normal summon Riseheart. Again, we want to normal summon the Riseheart so that way we can still go into things other than Xyz monsters. So special Fenrir, add Rise, normal Rise, go into the Tomahawk. Now, where you place the Tomahawk actually matters from combo to combo. For this particular combo line, if you have an extender, you want to place Tomahawk in the extra monster zone. So, Tomahawk's in the extra monster zone. We're detaching both materials in order to summon out the Tomahawk tokens. Oh, also, you might notice the Nibiru in my hand. I was testing out Nibiru a little bit because I've been playing the Crossout Designator. That was in one of my previous iterations of the deck, but it's I'm no longer playing it. There's still too much cheer and sprite. I thought I was going to run into more cash mirrors just because it's day 1, but anyway, so I'm going to summon my extender alongside the IP and the Link Spider, as you saw there, and that's going to allow us to go into Appaloosa. We need to go into Appaloosa before Auroradon, because once you activate Auroradon's effect, you cannot Link Summon for the rest of the turn. So we're going to go ahead and use the Auroradon effect to go and get our tokens now. Going to sack Auroradon and one of our tokens to summon the level 1 Warbluran. That is specifically the Mecha Phantom Beast you want to summon here. That also differs combo to combo line, but this one, you want to summon the Warbluran when you have the extender. So now we go into Cupid Pitch. Cupid Pitch goes up to level 5 because we use a level 1 tuner. That allows us to go into a level 8 Borreload with our level 3 token. The Borreload will allow us to bring back the Auroradon as an equip and get 3 counters, and then Cupid Pitch is going to be what gets us the Nemeses Corridor, and that of course is how we're going to end up summoning our Thunder Dragon Colossus. So as you can see, it's a pretty standard Auroradon combo line. And again, I know a lot of people are like, ugh, Appaloosa, Borreload, Thunder Dragon Colossus, it's so boring. It's like, you know, I really actually like that there are good generic options, because that's really what allows you to blend different archetypes together. I kind of think Yu-Gi-Oh! Would be really boring if we all just were locked into archetypes all the time. A lot of people seem to want that out of the game, and, you know, that's fine. You can want that out of the game if you want, but again, it is these generic extra deck monsters that do allow you to mix and match archetypes and play pile decks, which do tend to be my favorite style of deck. So, yeah, our opponent didn't really do any of the stun things. They just normal summoned the Albaz, so you might have thought that was branded, but I will, just to kind of show you here, I guess. I don't know why I'm proving this, but here you go. Here's our opponent's list. They were, in fact, on stun, just with the, like, literal one Albaz and all the extra deck stuff. But anyway, that's going to go ahead and do it for our first duel. Now, let's take a look at the next one. So for this duel, we're going to be up against Sprite, and this duel, I'm going to go ahead and show off the combo line. When you don't have an extender, when you only have 2 level 7 monsters to summon the Tomahawk, and it is going to be quite different, so you do want to make sure that we're noting the differences here. I could have actually, so technically with this hand, I could have actually gone into that first combo line by normal summoning Maxx or Ash Blossom as an extender, but I think I end up using the Ash Blossom if I recall correctly, and I just wanted to hold the Maxx as an, I just valued it more as like a Maxx than an extender here, so alright, gonna special summon my 2 Ascend Thunders by paying 6,000 life points. Definitely not a cheap cost, but it does allow me to go into my Tomahawk. So, first thing right off the bat that we're noting here, note that I put Tomahawk in a main monster zone, not an extra monster zone. You do want to make sure that you're doing that for this particular combo line, because we do need the extra space. We need to get rid of 3 of our tokens here, or rather our Tomahawk and 2 of our tokens, to make sure we have 3 spaces open for the Auroradon. So again, that actually does matter, especially for this combo line here. So Tomahawk is going to go ahead and summon a board full of the Battle Eagle tokens. Like I call it a Tomahawk token earlier. It's actually a Battle Eagle token. Pushes up glasses. Anyway, Auroradon's going to come down and grab 3 Mecha Beast tokens for us here. We're then going to, of course, activate Auroradon's effect. I'm going to sack it and one of my Mecha Beast tokens. Opponent's going to try to Ash Blossom here. We've got the Called By, so I'm just going to go ahead and use that to negate my opponent's Ash Blossom. Will of course mean that I cannot use my Ash Blossom moving forward, but it's not that big of a deal. Alright, there is the O-Lion. Again, we want to make sure that we're noting for this combo line, without an extender, we are getting O-Lion, not the level 1. This allows us to go into the Accel Synchron. I get a token with the O-Lion, and then Accel Synchron can dump off the Jet Synchron. That'll also reduce my Accel Synchron's level by 1. I know that went by a little bit quickly, so I'll go ahead and show you here. Yeah, we synchroned for the Accel Synchron using the O-Lion and one of our tokens. That allows us to get another token back with the O-Lion. Accel Synchron, once per turn, you can send a Synchron from deck to the graveyard to either increase or decrease the level of Accel Synchron by that monster's level. So I sent Jet Synchron to decrease it down to a level 4, and synced it with a level 6 Battle Eagle token for the Baronne there. Jet Synchron F, I'm going to pitch Ash Blossom because Call By says I can't use it through until my next turn anyway. Syncing Jet Synchron with the level 3 token for Cupid Pitch once again. Now Cupid Pitch will bump up the level to 5 because we used the level 1 tuner. Syncing with the level 3 Mecha Beast token allows us to get a Borreload Savage Dragon. I can use Cupid Pitch to grab my Nemeses Corridor. Savage Dragon will of course equip the Mecha Beast Auroradon as well. And then from here, we're just going to go ahead and use our Nemeses Corridor that we're searching for to special itself, putting back our banished Jet Synchron, and then we contribute it for the Thunder Dragon Colossus. We end up with 1 Battle Eagle token left over. Technically, I guess I should have used a Battle Eagle token, contributed that with a Auroradon, and then we could have kept a level 3 token left over here, but only missing out on a level 3 token doing that. Anyway, opponent's going to Gamma Seal, contributing over my Thunder Dragon Colossus. They're then going to try to activate a Triple Tactics talent. I'm going to go ahead and negate that with the Borreload Savage Dragon. Swap Dragon's going to get normal summoned here. I decided to negate it with Baron, but my opponent's got a Sprite starter. I did consider, you know, okay, The only way my opponent could possibly have plays here, if I negate and destroy the Swap Frog, is either if they have Sprite Starter or if they have Almirage in the extra deck. Had I thought about it a little bit more, I was a little quick to pull the trigger on this Baron. I should have considered that Almirage is extremely rare in Sprite extra decks nowadays. They don't really have the room for it anymore. Plus, Swap Frog only being at 1 makes it a little bit less worth running. But it was much more likely that my opponent had Sprite Starter in hand than Almirage in the extra deck. So, again, I technically kind of misplayed a little bit there. I mean, you could argue that, you know, based on the information I had and Slash didn't have, maybe it wasn't a misplay, but in the moment, but it ended up being a misplay because they had Sprite Starter. But anyway, they are still under Maxx, so I do still get draws for every summon my opponent is doing here. However, I'm only at 2,000 life points because I had to pay 6,000 just to get my play started, so that's definitely a little bit scary. However, my opponent actually added Smashers and not Gamma Bursts. I don't remember if they had Gamma Bursts in their deck or not. They should. I think any Sprite deck should probably be playing Gamma Burst right now. And I do think that Gamma Burst was absolutely the better search over the Smashers here. I think with Gamma Burst they might have been able to find Lethal. I'm actually pretty reasonably sure they would have been able to, but we'll see what they end up doing here. They're giving me a lot of draws, so all I have to do is survive through this turn, and I can absolutely mount a comeback relatively easily here. So, alright, they're getting the Nimble Angler, summoning a couple of Beavers, overlaying those for, I think this ends up being Melfi of the Forest here. And I draw an Ash Blossom here and end up activating it, totally forgetting about the call by, but I have a lot of cards in hand, so it kind of doesn't matter anyway. I mean, I don't know. It actually does matter because now, you know, I could have used the Ash Blossom on the Caddy next turn, but spoiler alert, I'm going to end up drawing another Ash Blossom off the Maxx anyway, so it's not going to end up mattering. Yeah, here they're going to use Smashers to get rid of my Savage Dragon. Yeah, I think with the Gammaverse and also the 3200 Gigantic, they could have battled over the Savage Dragon. I don't know. The other thing is, too, I think they summoned Gigantic a little bit earlier in their combo line, too, didn't they? Like, they summoned Gigantic initially when it had 1600 attack points. So, and there you go. When Caddy is summoned, I end up getting the Ash Blossom there. So, going to start by activating Rhoda. Opponent's going to try to get red with Elf. I've got the Call By for that. And then whenever they activate Caddy, I've got the Ash Blossom for that. So, really no need to worry here. That said, I don't think I can actually push through for Lethal because of the 3200 Gigantic and also the fact that it's target protected by the Sprite Elf. Just looking at my extra deck here, I'd have to summon Chengying and then also banish a card, which maybe I could get away with doing here. I mean, I did have the Ash Blossom, but now it's gone. But the only real tuner I have access to right now is the Jet Synchron, and syncing it for level 9 just seemed awkward, if not outright impossible. So I ultimately decided that the better thing to do here would be just go for some actual Kashtira plays instead of just going for generic stuff here. I'm going to special this Wandering Gryphon Rider and overlay, or sorry, special summon the Riseheart and then activate the effect to make it level 7. Now we'll go ahead and overlay for the Shangri-Ira here. I'm a little disappointed that Shangri-Ira doesn't have a summoning. I mean, I know that, you know, they're probably saving the summon animation for a Riseheart, but Shangri-Ira having one would have been cool too. It's a cool looking card. So now I'm going to go ahead and summon Diablosis, the Mind Hacker. Move to battle phase, battling over my opponent's Sprite Elf. I have to do this first before I can bounce the Gigantic with my Dracoback here. I will go ahead and activate the Diablosis effect to banish the monster from my opponent's graveyard face down. That also triggers Shangri-Ira to lock one of my opponent's monster zones. Banish some more of their cards face down, lock another of their monster zones. Main phase 2, I get to bounce the Gigantic, and also get rid of a card from their extra deck. The other Gigantic is what I end up hitting, and I get to hit yet another one of their main monster zones. So, not a full lock, but 3 of their main monster zones is still a lot. We also get to summon the Kashtira Unicorn, is what I plan on summoning off the Shangri-Ira. Opponent ends up top decking a Druid Swarm that is not going to be nearly enough to do it. Shangri-Ira getting the Kashtira Unicorn. If my opponent chooses to activate, you know, a monster effect, I can negate it. If we're going to trade a battle into the adventure token, I probably should have just summoned that adventure token in defense mode. I did completely just space on how low life points I was at. I definitely should have taken that more into consideration. But there you go. There's another game showing off not only the other combo line, but also featuring some zone locking at the end there. Just a preview of what's to come in the future as far as what the Kashtira archetype is capable of. We do still, of course, have a couple more duels, so I'm going to go straight into the next one here. Okay, so our next duel is going to be against Branded Dragon Maid, and this is a going second game. I wanted to make sure I had at least one, because I knew if I didn't, I could see the comment that was like, you only showed going first games, is it that can't play going... No, this second play going second just fine. I find that a lot of combo decks actually can, particularly in this meta where... I guess to be fair, we're not playing Bestial, so we're not playing as many interactive cards like on turn 1, but... Or on our opponent's turn 1, rather. So, I was going to kind of bring that up as a point, but... I mean, you know, we're still playing Imperms, Maxxes, Ash Blossoms. We do fine going second, turn 2 there. Yeah, our opponent really only played a Magnum Hut there. Didn't seem like they had too much else. So, I'm going to start with this Fenrir. Opponent's going to Ash Blossom to negate this search. I'm just going to go ahead and throw out this Crossout Designator. I do actually need this search to resolve in order to make plays. I mean, to be fair, I guess I could have normal summon to the... Warbluran and just synced for 8, but the only level 8 synchro I have is Borreload. It's not like I have Chaos Ruler or anything, so I needed this Riseheart here. Opponent's going to use the Dragon Maid Tiding here on Magnum Hut and Kashtira Fenrir, but Fenrir is not once per turn. Yeah, it can just special itself yet again, but even if it were, I did still have the Illegal Knight that I could have specialed as well. Alright, here is the Tomahawk. We are once again going for the non-extender line, because, well, we don't have an extender. And on top of that, the Warbluran is in our hand. So, that's actually another reason to run the 2 different Mecha Fan Beast tuners, is in case that happens as well, right? Even if, you know, both combo lines use the same tuner, I would just double up on that tuner, honestly. I wouldn't only play the one. I remember that from Halcdon days. Like, you always played 2 of the Mecha Phantom Beasts because if you open with one, you just do not have a combo line, and you're just really sad. So, here is the Accel Synchron dumping off the, what's it called, Jet Synchron, going for Baronne de Fleur. Baronne is going to activate. I'm going to try to destroy my opponent's back row. They've got a call by to try to hit the Jet Synchron, but I'm just going to go ahead and use the Baron here. So there's our negate used. And here we actually don't even have to use the Jet Synchron to, like, discard a card, because we actually have the Warbluran in hand. I can use O-Line's effect to get extra normal summon for specifically the Warbluran, and that gets us a level 1 tuner anyway. So we can save the Jet Synchron just in case we end up needing it later. That doesn't come up very often, but I thought I'd point that out there. So Cupid Pitch and Borreload are both activating. Opponent's going to Jewel Swarm targeting the Accel Synchron, and then Magnum Hut targeting the same Accel Synchron, question mark? I don't know why they didn't target the Cupid Pitch here, but I guess they must have misclicked or something. I bet that's what it was. To be fair though, the Cupid Pitch was the only other light or dark monster. This deck actually does not play that many. It's actually why I do play the Chengying and not Chaos Angel. I did think like, oh, I could try my new level 10 Synchro, but then I realized like, oh, I barely play any light or darks, so... Yeah, my opponent's going to just go ahead and concede before the combo line is through, but funnily enough, because they had the Defense Mode Magnum Hut, I don't think I actually had lethal here, especially because I already used the Baron's effect to destroy a card, so... might have been a little bit early of a concede, but to be fair, opponent still would have had to play through Colossus and an Omni, and also Ash Blossom and Call by going into their turn there. So there is that duel. We have one more to show. Let's go straight into it here. And our final duel is going to be against the mirror match. Well, kind of the mirror match. Our opponent's on like a very pure Kashtira deck. They're not doing Roydon stuff, but really all they're doing instead is just playing 3 Shangri-Ira and then 3 of the what is it, the number 89 Diablosis. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but again, I know a criticism that I might face with this deck profile is that, oh, you know, you're just going into extra deck stuff that's all generic, you're not doing any of the archetypes things here. And one, as we showed in the last, or the second game rather, we did do some of Kashtira stuff. You know, we did do the Shangri-Ira line, but on top of that, like, especially with what's out now with Kashtira, there's not a whole lot else you can really do besides that and the Auroradon line. Like, again, my opponent's on 3 of each, number 89 and Shangri-Ira, and, like, if you want a pure Kashtira deck, that's pretty much all you're going to be doing. So, that's just another reason why I really like using the Auroradon line with this particular deck. Anyway. But opponent's got a Maxx, but I have an Ash Blossom in response to that. Get to start with the Unicorn here. Starting with Unicorn is nice because, well, one, we get to banish cards out of our opponent's extra deck. I'm banishing Zeus here because we're going second, or our opponent's going second, rather. The Unicorn also lets us get Birth, and Birth actually sets up an extender for the Appaloosa line. So that's nice that it gets to do that for free there. So because we are doing the Appaloosa line, the line that uses an extender, going to make the Tomahawk specifically in the extra monster zone so that we get 5 Battle Eagle tokens. Linking off Tomahawk and one of the tokens now for the IP Masquerena. After that, we get to link another one of our tokens for the Link Spider. Then we'll use Kashtira Birth in order to get an extender. However, one thing I do want to make sure that I'm especially noting here is that if you use Kashtira Birth to get an extender, do not, I repeat, do not summon the Kashtira monster you banished. It might seem really tempting, and especially here it's like, why wouldn't you? You get Fenrir and then you get a search for another Kashtira monster, right? Yes, but then we don't have anything banished, and we can't summon Thunder Dragon Colossus later. So make sure you're summoning a Kashtira monster out of your graveyard, not the one that you banished off of Riseheart there. Alright, there is our Appaloosa, and now that that's in play, we can link off our remaining Battle Eagle tokens for that Mecha Fan of Beast Auroradon. Again, you do have to summon the Appaloosa before the Auroradon, because once Auroradon summons your tokens, you no longer get to link summon that turn. So, Auroradon F, sack itself and the token for specifically Warbluran, the level 1 tuner. Gonna then sync that with our level 3 Mecha Fan of Beast token for the Cupid Pitch. Cupid Pitch is gonna bump its level up to 5, and then sync with the other level 3 token for the Borreload Savage Dragon. That's going to equip the Auroradon that's in our graveyard to get 3 Borrel counters, and then of course the Cupid Pitch will add us the Nemeses Corridor. That's going to discard itself in order to set up the Thunder Dragon Colossus from our extra deck there. And yeah, going into the Mirror Match's turn here, and again I do know it's the Mirror Match because I played Kashtira Unicorn's effect this turn, so we know everything in our opponent's extra deck. I considered also getting rid of their Big Eye that they have in there, and not the Zeus, but I thought the Zeus presented a bit more of a threat because it's a bit easier. Not only is it easier to come down, but Big Eye only takes 1 monster, whereas Zeus threatens to wipe our whole board. So, let's go try to imperm our Appaloosa. Of course, we do have to use the Borreload, but they have a triple attack to follow up, so they get to just steal the Appaloosa. They're using the Ascend of Thunder as a generic level 7 extender as well. And they are also using Instant Contact too. They even have 3 Aqua Neos in the extra deck, which I think is a bit much. I think you really only need 2, even if you're playing 3 Instant Contact. You technically only need 1, honestly, but I like the idea of having a second one just in case. But I think we could have been playing a different, like, rank 7 instead. I don't know. Opponent is going to use the Nightmare Phoenix to get rid of our Kashtira Birth. That is going to be pretty annoying, but you know, we do definitely have options here, especially given that we have the Colossus in addition to the O-Lion. Top deck Fenrir, but it's not going to do a whole lot of good for us because we can't special it, and because of the Kashtira Birth leaving the field, we can't normal it either without tributing, so. O-Lion will give us a spare token. I'm going to use Baronne to force the Borreload, and then just negate and destroy it with the Baronne effect. After that, we get to battle over our opponent's Nightmare Phoenix, and then during my opponent's standby phase, since they're in top deck mode, I'm going to go ahead and just, well, we'll wait for the standby phase to come before I talk about it a little bit more, I guess, but basically, I'm just going to get back the Kashtira Unicorn instead of keeping Baronne on the field, because Baronne no longer has its Omni-Negate effect, and this way, if our opponent starts to make plays, I can at least try to see if I can get rid of something out of their extra deck, but no, they just have a set card. I think Fenrir would have had to have been, like, pretty much the only top deck that actually would have gotten them out of this, I think. I guess they could have top decked Unicorn for Birth as well. I'm pretty sure they have something in their graveyard, right? In the way of, yeah, they have a Riseheart in there, but I'm just going to go ahead and get my Fenrir, summon it with Birth, and then swing in for lethal. So, there are the duels there. Hope you all enjoyed them. Again, I can see how this video might not be the most popular. Because I know people aren't a huge fan of Aurodon, I know people aren't a huge fan of Kashtira, but I don't know, I had fun playing this deck. I will definitely tinker with it more on ladder, especially the extra deck. I definitely want to make sure we get the extra deck right and open up all possible combo lines there. Yeah, that's going to go ahead and do it for this video. Let's move now to the outro. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching all the way to the very end of the video like this. That means a whole lot to me. Not just personally, but it's also a great way of supporting the channel as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in other means, you can of course feel free to comment and or subscribe right here on YouTube. I'm always looking to the comments section. You guys leave some pretty awesome feedback as far as like constructive criticism goes when it comes to deck building, gameplay, channel content, all that stuff. So feel free to leave your opinion down there. I will be sure to take a look at that there. And then subscribing is going to be the best way to get notifications of when these videos drop. That does happen every day, by the way, so if you're looking for daily Master Duel content, you've come to the right place. And there are more places where you can get some daily Master Duel content. If you check out the description below, follow the top link over to my Patreon page. There for just $5 a month, which is as much as you pay for a booster pack. You'll find a lot more value than a pack full of filler over there. We've got some previews for content upcoming here on the channel. We've got some exclusive games that are only posted over on Patreon over there. We've got some Q&As, and then you can also have your name featured in this lovely credit sequence where I thank all of the people who are helping contribute over there on Patreon. It's a huge support to the channel, and it really means a lot as well. So thank you everyone who is donating that is featured here on screen. And again, you know, it's not just a pure donation, you do get some more daily Master Duel content over there just for being a part of the Patreon. But I think that's about all the time that I have for today's video. Once again, I just want to thank you so very much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. Again, it just means a lot as I do put a decent amount of work into getting these videos out every single day. But that's about all the time that I've got for now. So without further ado, this is Xlex. I'm signing out, and I hope you have a fantastic day.